Hey Manuel, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thank you. What about you?
I'm doing excellent. So I want to appreciate you all for saying yes to these sessions. And we have our awesome audience who decided to equally join in. So we're going to be asking a couple of questions just to get to help our audience understand how your journey has been like, those best practices in the industry, and how much value you can get out of this. We have in the audience, we have people who are still greenfield to the cloud. We equally have people who have been in the cloud, they are working, and so that's the range of the audience, right? So we want to make it as simple as possible for everyone to understand and see why there is a need to get into this industry. So right now, I want to start off with Ernest. So Ernest, you would like to hear from you, right? Just walk us through like a journey into the field of cloud computing and how you actually became senior cloud solutions a multi-cloud architect, right? So that our audience would, let's say those who are looking forward to taking the same career path would also know what it entails, you know. And we believe that you will be telling your story. Somebody is going to relate, with your story. So you have the mic, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Samba, for putting this wonderful event together. I'm excited to be here and greetings to everyone. My name is Ernest. Uh, I am a cloud infrastructure DevSecOps engineer at K. We are known as CAE. That's how they normally refer to the company that I work for. I work for a government contractor. And to start from the very beginning, how I was able to get into cloud computing. So to start with, I do not come from a computer science background. I have no degree in computer science. I have no coding background. Actually, my background is in healthcare administration. So I've worked for Brooklyn Hospital in New York for about 6 years as an operations manager for patient transport. And I did that for some time. After COVID, the coronavirus pandemic, I got tired of doing that. And I was looking for something else besides healthcare. And the funny thing is, most people, when they go into healthcare, they are going into healthcare because they believe that they are going to be making a lot of money doing that. But after having my bachelor degree in healthcare administration, getting a job as a manager in a hospital, you might think that I was making a lot of money by then, but I wasn't making a lot of money at all. The highest I got paid as a manager at Brooklyn Hospital was $61,500. And if you live in the state of New York, you know how expensive it is to live in New York. You know, your rent alone can be 2,400 depending on where you live. So looking at all of that, I knew right away that something have to change. I decided to move away from New York. I went to the state of Minnesota as a result of as a result of how expensive things were in New York. When I got to Minnesota, I started going to church. I met this wonderful friend of mine. He was into IT, but he wasn't doing cloud. He was more like, uh, is it a, he was more into like project management. And he told me that there is this course called AWS, and he's trying to get into that. Up until that point, the only thing I know about AWS is that they are a cloud service provider. That's it. That was all I knew. I'm not somebody that I don't consider myself, tech savvy or anything, of that nature. To be honest with you, when I heard about the cloud, I actually thought data was being stored in the sky, literally in the sky somewhere. And it was interesting to start that journey because I had no clue what this whole thing is about. One thing he told me was there is this boot camp that he intends to attend. And he told me that you don't need any computer background, you don't need a degree in computer science. And at the time, he told me you don't even need a certificate in terms of AWS, being an AWS certified solutions architect or that kind of stuff in order to even get a job. So he sold me on all this good news, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I have a little bit of money invested. I took that money. My tuition was $2,500 for the program, and I paid that money. And I'm like, okay, let's see what I can make. I can make of this. So at the time, I was working for a staffing agency here in Minnesota as um, a staffing manager. So basically, my day to day is I call clients, try to win businesses for our company and stuff like that. And while I was doing that full time, I was also enrolled in this bootcamp program to become an AWS cloud engineer. And to tell you the truth, like 3 months into the program, I was beginning to like it. I was beginning to like it. I saw it as something I could do. And the reason for that is from day one, because I know I have no computer background, I decided to pay attention to what was being taught. And not only to pay attention, but the things that I have to do at home when I'm not in class, in terms of like making sure I'm practicing, doing those hands-on projects, making sure I am not just going through the motions, but actually making an effort to understand what is being taught. Those things led me to a point that I began to really like what I was saying. And my work was becoming extremely stressful. My wife looked at the situation. She saw how well I was doing in the program and told me that I should resign from my job. And for me, that was very difficult for me to do because I've been living in the US for close to 16 years and I've never been without a job. I've never stayed home and not worked a day in my life up until that point. And the reasons that my wife gave me, if I don't, I mean, and just to take a step back a little bit, this might not be for everybody. I'm not advising anybody to go and quit their job because, I mean, life can get real quickly after you make that decision. And so I decided to resign from my job to focus on the program full time. When I did that, I was studying like 10 to 15 hours a day. And I'm not even kidding. And the program that we were into, they told us from the beginning that they will give us 50% of the content. The other 50% we have to make it up, which means that once you know the fundamentals of what you are being taught, you have to take that and figure out how you can put the pieces together yourself. Because at the time we weren't working on any end-to-end projects to say that okay, like we have everything that we need to gain the experience that we actually needed. So I was doing projects on the side based on the things that I was being taught in class. When we got to Terraform is one of those tools within the AWS or within the cloud environment that as a cloud engineer, you have to at least know how to use Terraform because it is cloud agnostic, which means that it doesn't matter whether you are using Google Cloud, it doesn't matter whether you are using AWS Cloud, it doesn't matter whether it's Azure, you will be able to deploy infrastructure and be able to have it as code. So the day that they taught us Terraform, from that day onwards, everything else that we do, even if it's not Terraform related, I try to automate everything in Terraform. And what I noticed was that a lot of other students, as soon as we move away from Terraform to like, let's say Ansible, they just focus on Ansible, forgetting that they can actually configure Ansible within Terraform and make it as code. And towards the end of the course, a lot of people were lost. And I wouldn't blame them for being lost because they were thinking there is going to be some Terraform projects that we are going to be doing from end to end, and they'll be able to learn from that and stuff like that. But that wasn't the case at all. And it is no fault of the institution that helped us. But I see it as everyone has a responsibility. They owe themselves that responsibility to figure out how they are going to navigate the space of cloud. So for me, what I did was, if it's Ansible that we are studying, I'm doing it in Terraform. If it's CI/CD pipeline that we are doing, I'm automating the whole process in Terraform, and that helped me a lot. So fast forward, when I got to the point that I had to, start interviewing, it was much easy for me because the majority of the things that I was talking about in these interviews, these are things that I've actually done. These are things that I've actually worked on. So the interviewers could relate to what I was saying. One thing that I forgot to mention was within the first 4 months of me enrolling in the course, I was able to get my AWS Solutions Architect Associate certification, and I was also able to get my AWS Cloud Practitioner certification. So that, I have that, going for me already. And right before we finished the course, I was able to land a job with the company that I'm with right now. The interesting thing about the interview process is that first of all, you have to be very prepared for these interviews. Depending on the company that you are interviewing with, sometimes it's 4 rounds of interview, sometimes it's 3 rounds of interview, and it is made up of a technical interview, a behavioral interview, and then a final interview where you get to meet the team that you will be working with for them to see if you will be a good fit for them. And one thing that most interviewers are looking for, now that I'm in the field and what I'm seeing from the inside, what they are looking for is just people with fundamental knowledge of the cloud. They are not asking for too much. You know, there was this time that one of our tech lead came out of an interview, and she was frustrated, and she was like, she can't believe that people don't even have the fundamental skills, because that is all they are looking for. Everything in tech, it doesn't matter whether you've been in the field for 10 years or you've been in the field for 2 years. Everything we do, majority of the stuff, you still have to do research anyways, right? So you need to be someone that knows how to do research, someone that is a self-starter. You don't always have to wait for somebody to bring you work and be like, hey, here's work, and do it and finish it by this time. You should be someone that can see somebody, can see a ticket and be like, you know what, assign that ticket to me and I'll take care of it. Right? That kind of attitude, that is what you need to be successful. And in terms of being able to keep your job, a lot of people talk about job security a lot. And to me, the only job security you can have is not the company you work for. The job security that you can give yourself is what you know, right? Because what you know is what is going to help you keep your job. If you don't know anything, it doesn't matter which company you work for. It's just a matter of time you will be laid off if you are not contributing and impacting the projects that they have going on. So I would like to say that my journey into cloud has been, I would say, it has been super easy. At the same time, it has been super stressful because there is a commitment. There's a level of commitment that goes into, becoming a cloud engineer. And if you are committed to the course or the process, it's going to be very easy for you. I always tell people that if you know how to use Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, you can literally get yourself a career in tech. And the reason why I say that is sometimes the sophisticated stuff that we do with these social media platforms and stuff like that, cloud is not even that complicated. And everything that you need to do your work is online. The documentations that you need to reference to do your work. There are artificial intelligence products out there that can easily help you solve or troubleshoot multiple issues that you may face while trying to deploy, an application or an infrastructure within the cloud. So anybody can do it, but you have to be committed to it. You have to make sure you put in the time. This is not something that you can cheat the game and expect to be making 6 figures within a short period of time. You cannot cheat the game, because if you do that, you are going to end up exposing yourself on the job. The job that I do, I'm not fully remote where I can hide. I work 3 days in the office, and I work 2 days from home, and every other Friday I'm off. And the beauty and the flexibility that comes with the cloud also is that I've never heard this before, but my job, they have something they call unlimited PTO, right? I've never heard that before, where you can take off whenever you want, right? If you have something personal going on in your life and you need a week off, you can take that week off. You are still getting paid the same amount of money and no questions asked. You can take 2 months off if you need it, and the team is not doing if there is nothing serious going on that needs your contribution or your attention, you are free to go. So that flexibility gives you work-life balance. That is another thing that I like about the cloud. So to sum this up, the best thing you can do for yourself is to become an expert. And the way you can become an expert is every day commit yourself to reading at least one article in your field, right? Commit to practicing everything that you know about the cloud. Try to understand every component of it. Try to understand, what this thing is doing in the back end in terms of like, checking the logs. Make sure you are very good at checking those logs and understanding what each one does. And those things will help you in troubleshooting a lot. And never underestimate networking when it comes to the cloud, because everything evolves around networking. I always tell my friends that, hey, I don't care whether you are into like CI/CD pipeline or you are a DevOps engineer or whatever you are, like networking is key. This environment, sometimes you get into these environments, they'll tell you you are going to be working as a DevOps engineer. The next minute, they're asking you to go and set up a VPC and deploy an EC2 instance that they would like to use to set up a GitLab application. How are you going to go about it if you don't understand networking? So that is all I have for now. And if anybody have questions, I'm open to take them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Enes, please, can we appreciate Enes so far for taking out this time to share with us part of his journey, right? One thing that caught my attention is the fact that Enes comes from a purely non-tech background, just like myself, right? For those who are just joining, I come from a medical background as a medical doctor, but I was very curious. I was hungry, and I decided to equally step into the cloud. And right now, pushing together with an amazing team. I want to celebrate my team here from SolaviseTech. This is possible thanks to them, right? So thank you all so much for joining in. I really want to appreciate NS for sharing that. So right now, let's while NS is maybe grabbing his breath, I want to pass it over now to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, would like to hear from you. You have the next 10 minutes just to walk us through your journey as well into becoming a senior DevOps engineer. And you equally tell us within your story, what are those critical skills, right, that every DevOps engineer will need in order to be proficient or in order to succeed. And to note that in this audience, we have people that have little or no idea of what DevOps is all about, or we have people who are just at the onset of their journey, and so want to make it as basic as possible, right? This morning I was discussing with a lady in Dubai who was referred to me, and she says she wants to get into tech, right? She's also from the health background, but she told me she's scared. She doesn't want to get in because she said a lot around this, like you need to have complex programming background and so on. So is it something that she can be able to make it through? So I want to also hear from you your experience, like journey into becoming a senior DevOps engineer, those skill sets that are necessary to thrive in the industry. Over to you, please.
All right, yeah, thank you so much, Samba, and thank you everyone for listening to us. This is awesome. Thank you for putting this together. Really proud of being a friend and partner of SolaviseTech. Even though thank you so much, Ernest, for opening the grant. So even though I did not have a computer background, I never studied computer science, but from a young age, I've always been fascinated by technology and engineering field. I'm kind of curious, just to understand, okay, this is computer, so how can you just type something and you have a correspondence movement, on the screen, things like that used to amaze me a lot. So I've always been fascinated by all these technologies, but I never had the opportunity in life to follow that career path, which I would have loved to follow because of some reasons. Many of us who are from Africa, we know, how difficult it is for you to kind of discover what you really want to do in life, at the beginning. So my first degree is in sociology and criminology, and my second degree is in environmental science and sustainability. But before I started college, I had a chance to work as a technical training specialist, helping clients to install operating systems. And then also, there's something they call cyber cafes in Africa. I don't know if those things are still existing today. So I've worked in all those commercial internet cafe. So I have a little bit of idea about how all those things work, but not really at a real professional level. Um, so those kind of give me the insight. But of course, after completing my degree and working in the field of environmental science, I realized that environmental science is not really what I'm really, really passionate about. So I took a role as an operations supervisor at one of the biggest grocery stores in the US. If I mention it, you all will know it, but I just want to keep that. So I took the job because it paid decent, and just to put food on the table. And but the schedule and the hours at that company were really, really terrible for me, and I decided that after a little over a year that my health and sanity, were more important, and that was that point that I decided to leave the role. So I actually left that role, and honestly, that was the turning point where I decided, to dive more, into I would call it my first love, something that I really love to do, and that is technology. So I became absorbed, into the cloud and DevOps space, cloud first, because, cloud. Even then, when I hear cloud, I used to think that, okay, is the cloud in the sky? That's where people are talking about, where they keep things, So, but when I got to the field, it was a different story. It was a different experience, that the cloud is not anywhere. The cloud is here. So, all those things, they were becoming more interesting to me. And since then, I think my first technical training was Google Data Analytics training. I did that, and after 3 months, I got a job as a MDM, Master Data Analyst. Yes, I got a job as a Master Data Analyst, and from there I began to build my interest in the cloud. Then after that, I joined a boot camp because I've been hearing cloud. I really want to I was really curious, to know more about the cloud. So I joined that boot camp. So that boot camp, they gave us voucher to write cloud practitioner and solution architect. So, because I was really passionate, so I got a voucher and I wrote the exam. I passed it, and the solution architect, and that was where the whole thing began to become more interesting to me and become more clearer to me, that okay, what we call cloud, what are the aspects of cloud, and another thing was how to really know what you really want to do. Like then I did not know the difference between being a cloud engineer or being a DevOps engineer. I don't know the relationship. I was just trying to put my head inside first, then maybe later all those things will become clear to me. So after passing my certification, I also built a few cool projects, like my resume. I use S3 bucket to host my resume. And, it was really interesting to me. Like I was, really, really happy about it that I was able to do that. And then when I was applying for applications, I used that, as a link. I just sent a link to my recruiters, and yeah, I may not get a job then because I was still there was still some gaps in terms of how to, because going through the training is a different thing. Applying for cloud DevOps jobs is another thing entirely that maybe we will get to that conversation in the course of this podcast. So there were some things I was supposed to learn then, but I couldn't learn all those things. So, but after passing my certification, I was able to get my job. Okay, I joined another boot camp, and after that boot camp, I was able to, I think within 3 months, I was able to get my first cloud job as a cloud engineer, which was like a hybrid position. Yeah, so that is just my background, how I got into tech. And since then, I've been looking for a way to integrate my background in environmental science and sustainability into tech. And that was what led me to the interest in what we call green DevOps or cloud sustainability. You know, the idea or the philosophy that how can we, you know, the coding we do, the applications we build in the cloud, how can we, you know, run or execute all these applications, or how can we build all these applications in a way that it will not add to the carbon emissions in the cloud, you know, something like climate sustainability or climate technology. Some people will call it climate technology. So those are the, you know, things that I was also trying to do, even though my background is in environmental science and sustainability. So I was trying to look for, you know, that intersection, you know, between technology and climate, or technology and our environment, how we can, you know, code, or how we can build applications in a way that it will not have a negative effect on the environment. We'll be able to talk about this more, but to the question from Samba about the critical thing that we need to do especially for the beginners, for those who are just going into tech, I would say just be open to learn a lot of things, because cloud, as it is, as the name implies, is very broad. It's very, very broad, and it's becoming more bigger again, because inside cloud, we have security, we have database, we have different kinds of things, you know, the development, the developer aspect is also there. You know, you have to kind of know what you really want to do. Do you want to just focus on maybe the operating systems? And do you want to just become maybe Linux administrator or sysadmin, or you want to, or you are more interested in database? Then you can focus on the SQL base and NoSQL database. You know, those are the things that somebody who is just, you know, coming into tech, we have to think about. You know, we have Kevin here, cybersecurity expert. You know, do you want to focus on that? Because that is another aspect. It's another big, you know, aspect of the technology entirely. So, you know, these are the things that people who are just coming into tech need to really, really consider before they choose whatever they want to choose, or whatever aspect they want to choose in the cloud. Yeah, so maybe in the course of this podcast, questions will be raised, and then I'll be able to touch some other things.
Thank you very much. Please, can we appreciate Emmanuel for taking us into his journey in the cloud, right? And one thing equally stands out with Emmanuel, which is similar to that of Ernest, you don't need to have an initial tech background for you to break into tech, right? You need to have an open mindset, and you need to be hungry, you know, open to doing research, collaborating with others on the field, right? So I believe somebody has been inspired with his story. And now, also one thing that stood out with his story is the fact that he's not only gotten in and is working as a DevOps engineer, but he also now looking at how he can incorporate, you know, the technology into what he has as background, which is similar to what I'm doing right now. I came from a medical background. I had to pause at one point my medical training to get to understand the technology side of things. I'm based in Cameroon, for those who are just joining. And then right now, I am applying tech in healthcare. So now I'm more into digital health entrepreneurship, right? So you see, so if you're joining for the first time as well, probably you're thinking of how do I, you know, move into this thing? How do I get to apply what I've learned? Or Is it that my previous background is completely irrelevant once you finally get into tech? No. If you still love what you're doing, right? But now you see that the world is moving more digitally. So you can see how to incorporate the IT you've now learned, the cloud you've now learned into what you do. That's where now the aspect of specializing comes in, right? Because it's very important to that when you get into the space, you're not just kind of general, because the space is very broad. You want to look at that area that also aligns with your career goals, and then you can equally focus on. So while I grab maybe a glass of water, I want to pass it over now to Kevin. Kevin is going to take over from here and then just make progress. Then I'm going to join later on. So if you have questions, please make sure you write down those questions. And towards the end, we're going to give an opportunity for everyone, those who have questions, will also ask their questions. But just to let us know that we can still continue to share the link. The YouTube live is equally on. All right. So Kevin, if you can hear me, over to you, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me spotlight myself. How do I do this? Okay. I think I dropped off, so I might not be having that. Since you're having host rights, you can be able to do that for me.
I just spotlighted you.
Doug.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So thank you so much. Actually, my notebook is already full because of all the nuggets that Ernest had already shared. Just one page of all that he shared, quite a lot. And as well as Emmanuel and all these things. So I'll just ask you, I'll ask a question that you can answer, both of you. You maybe Ernest can start, then you'll give it to Emmanuel. And hearing your story, Ernest, like how you're able to handle stress, and also you talked about something. It's good to take risk, but it's not good to be reckless about it, such that you cannot just quit your job and you don't know how you're going to. If you're having a family, you're having people to fend who depend on you, you can just say, I'm following my passion. There's a difference between being a risk taker and being reckless at it. So, and also Emmanuel, you mentioned about something about curiosity and how curiosity landed you to where you are right now. So I'm trying to connect these two things where you're thinking about this opportunity, you're curious about it, and how you're able to weigh the risks and be able to say this is now the way to go. Maybe Ernest can start in telling us, because what is happening, because that is what Dr. Samba told us about, the friend was from Dubai was referred to, most have the fear of starting, just getting that point. And you just mentioned that they only need the fundamental basic knowledge for them to land that role. So how can you tell the audience here right now how they can be able to overcome and go to the other side of, because usually say success is on the other side of fear. So how do you overcome fear? Then you can also invite Emmanuel on that. You're muted. Okay.
Yeah, sorry
Awesome.
about that. Thank you very much, Kevin, for that amazing question. So fear is one thing that it doesn't matter whether uh, you are poor or you are the richest man in the world. Everybody experiences some level of fear, right? But the question becomes, what do you do with that fear? The most successful people in life, they are not the people that have no fear. Whatever they wanted in life, they did it regardless of the fear that they feel. So if you are trying to break into tech, do not let the fear that you feel hold you back from taking that step. You don't have to figure out what the end is going to look like. Just take it one day at a time. What can I do today that will make today a productive day for me? If you can take care of that one thing, tomorrow is a new day. How can you make that next day a productive day? If you keep that mindset and keep taking one step at a time and making the best use of the days that you have, that is how eventually everything adds up and you end up being an expert in the field. When I decided to resign from my job, it was a very crucial decision in the sense that the work that my wife was doing at the time, it wasn't enough to pay all the bills. And the program that I was into, they told us that, oh, this program is only a 6-month program. But in actuality, it extended beyond 6 months. We actually finished the program in 9 months. But I did not know that when I was resigning my job. When I was resigning from my job, my mindset was that, okay, if this program is 6 months, that means that in 6 months' time, I'll be able to finish this program and then start applying and get a job. But it did not happen that way because I wasn't given an accurate information from the beginning. And to tell you the truth, a month before I actually landed the role, we were sent an eviction notice, right? Because we were late on our rent. The apartment that we rented, if you don't pay your rent by the 5th, the landlord has the right to send you an eviction notice. And if you don't pay by the 15th, they kick you out of the house. It was that real, right? So I was very aggressive in my pursuit for making sure that, I don't put my wife and kids in the position that I won't be able to, provide for them. We'll end up on the street somewhere. I don't want that to happen. So I kept pushing, and God being so good, I was able to land that job. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to tell you that in life, you have to take risks. The worst thing you can do for yourself is not to be willing to try, right? Give it everything you got and live with the results. But one thing I've discovered over time is that if you do your part, some way, somehow, God has a way of putting you in a position that will make whatever sacrifices that you've made worth it. So those of you on the sidelines thinking about, okay, tech is a new thing. I don't know if I'm going to get a job. Can somebody guarantee me that I will get a job when I'm done with this program? Listen, there are no guarantees in life. And if there is any guarantee at all, there is only one guarantee, which is death. Right? Death is the only guarantee you get in life. Nobody can guarantee you that you are going to take this program and you are going to finish and you are going to get a job. You have to guarantee yourself that this program you are going to do it, you are going to give it your all. And when you are done, nothing will stop you from getting a job. It is that type of attitude that will help you and make you successful in this field. But if you put that responsibility on the institution that is teaching you, or you put that responsibility on somebody else other than yourself, you are not going to be able to make it. So hold yourself accountable. Tell yourself you will do whatever it takes. If you're in the program, you don't understand something, reach out to people that can help you understand what you are trying to learn. And that is how you grow over time. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Awesome. Thank you. Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin, for this wonderful question. And thank you, Ernest, for your wonderful contribution as well. So what is the meaning of fear? Somebody said fear is what we call false evidence appearing real. It's false, but we think that thing is real. So to me, fear describes how our minds, can put together false stories of how a situation will turn out, which is not true. Yeah, so somebody said, is it that you face everything and rise, or face everything and run? That is another mean. In fact, that is just my motivation. That is what really helped me, because yes, curiosity comes, out of being fascinated about something. Then when that curiosity comes, then you discover that after that, fear will set in, because when you see a whole lot of things that you have to know, especially as a DevOps engineer or DevSecOps engineer or cybersecurity engineer, you see all these things that you need to know. And even in that process, imposter syndrome also sets in. So fear brings in a lot. And then from there, you see that your motivation starts to go down. Yeah, but how I overcame it, or I am overcoming it, is that second meaning of fear. The first meaning is false evidence appearing real. It's a false evidence, but appearing like as if it is really real, or it is not. So that second definition of fear which always works for me, is face everything and rise. Face everything and rise. That is it. When you face it, when you walk through it, then you will come out victorious, and you will see that, oh, this thing is not even, just like I told you about cloud, I thought cloud was somewhere. And even the first time I was hearing about virtual machine or EC2 instance, the first time I saw people, spinning up instances, I was like, oh my God, will I be able to do this? Because this thing is too complex. I was watching, the first time I was watching, seeing videos on YouTube. I don't think, at the time I was like, I don't think I can do this. It's too complex. But when I walked through it, when I when you, and that is where consistency also helps. When you do things like many times, you become an expert in it. And that fear will start to go down. And this is why I always encourage people that, yeah, it is normal to be afraid. It's normal to exercise fear when you are just, launching your career in tech, but please do not look back. Even if you look back, do not go back. That is not where you are going. No, please keep moving, keep going, keep going. A lot of people that I've mentored, by the grace of God, they are getting jobs now. Some of them, they say, oh, I applied. I put in many applications. I said, yes, it is normal. Everybody experiences it. I don't think there's anyone that just put in the first application as a DevOps engineer or cloud engineer and got that job right away. No. There are countless of rejections. Countless.
Yeah.
I've heard about horrible stories, about even some people they've gotten the offer, but something happened. I don't want to be sharing all those kind of stories, not to scare people, but it's just for us to know that it is real. The fear is real, but the way we overcome it is by moving forward. It's by keep going. It's by keep doing it. I have a lot of friends who had issues with their job, and they came to me. I said, guys, just keep moving. Just keep going. Don't stop. Keep learning. Keep doing everything. Keep applying. Don't stop. Don't stop. And that is it.
Awesome.
Face everything and rise. That is how to overcome the fear. And the second part is you have to also have a good support system anytime you have challenge in this field, because it will come in different phases. But you have to have a good family support. If you are married, you have to communicate, very well with your partner that, okay, this is what is going on. How will you help me? So that both of you work together as a team. So you need a good family support, a good support from maybe family and friends. Let's just call it family and friends support. And then within yourself, the one I already mentioned, face everything. You have to face everything and then walk through it. Keep doing it. Keep learning. Keep training. Keep doing it. And then at the end of the day, you will emerge victorious. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. It's just mind-blowing when you look at it. And one thing that has just come out from what you've just mentioned is, like, I was reading, there's a book that I'm reading together with some gentlemen, The Diary of a CEO by Steve Bartlett. And he says in one law, become a plan A thinker. Having a plan B is what messes you up, because you're not going to put all your focus on one thing. So when you say don't look back, it just resonated with me. So let's go technical a bit. You've talked about, let's sticking with you, Emmanuel, then we'll go to Ernest. You've talked about you did environmental science, you did this sociology thing, then you now merge the knowledge there into something around cloud sustainability. Maybe could you walk us through 1, 2, 3 key projects, or even just one memorable project that you did that was of impact, right? And you can say, like, this is one thing that made me realize that being a cloud sustainability engineer is something very impactful to the world. And as you do that, so that I don't ask again for Ernest, also, anything that you've done, a key project that will make people understand that these roles that you have is impacting the world right here, right now. So over to you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin. Yeah, there are many projects that I've done, but there was this project that we that I first did. It was about sustainability. It was about cost optimization. Most companies, they want to put cost as priority in everything they do, most especially cost and security. So there was this project about how to kind of regulate when developers spin up instances. Most of the time they forget to clean up. They forget to, because developers, most of them don't even have an idea about the cloud, like what is going on in the cloud. They are always after building application with codes. So most of the time when they are doing testing, so they spin up EC2 instances of virtual machines, and they forget to kind of, shut down that instances. And from there, it begins to generate expenses for the company. So we did that project to regulate how people, so we made it 8 hours. Like, you cannot spin up the instances more than 8 hours, maybe from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So that was what we did. And it's a solution. It's not a service anyway, but it's a solution that we put together with the help of DynamoDB to do the work there, and then some couple of Lambda functions. We put those together, and we were able to, like, so that when a developer spins up an instances, you can, in fact, we even put some hours there, like, okay, you can spin it up for 1 hour, you can spin it up for 4 hours, you can spin it up for maybe 6 hours, but it's not going to be like more than 8 hours. Because the company, they are very, very, when it comes to cost, if you develop something like this for companies, they will really, really appreciate it. Another aspect is that of security, which I don't want to talk now for compliance reason, but that cost was something that, like, my first project that I really appreciate.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Manu. Over to you, Anes.
Yes, thank you very much. That was awesome, Brother Emmanuel. So on my side, a project that I've worked on that really opened my eyes to what the cloud is capable of doing was a three-tier e-commerce application, a three-tier e-commerce infrastructure that I designed for the AWS cloud. And this project has to do with deploying an e-commerce application in multiple availability zones, and making sure that traffic is evenly distributed to this different availability zone for high availability and also fault tolerance for my applications. I started off by manually setting up my VPC components in terms of route table, subnets, internet gateway, NAT gateway, to allow my private resources to be able to pull packages from the internet. I was able to deploy uh, my front end application in the public subnet, and also my business logic was within the private subnet. And I set up a relational database to be able to store data. And the beauty of high availability when it comes to the cloud is that, for instance, if you have an application running in availability zone A, and something happens in that availability zone and that instance goes down, the system is set up that traffic can be rerouted to availability zone B, where your application is still up and running without you actually losing business. So that is great for businesses. And when I did that end-to-end project, I right away understood why our banking systems are able to consistently provide us with first-class service, where there is no day that you go into, like, you go online, try to check your bank balance or your history, and there is no data there to be found, right? Those things can be very scary. That means that they were able to back up their storage in multiple availability zones or multiple regions to allow them that redundancy when it comes to making sure that their data is always available. So that is a project that I've done that that really opened my eyes to what the extent to which cloud can go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll ask this question, then I'll invite Doc to come back and take you through some questions. If you were to pick 3 core skills, whether it is technical skills or the soft or power skills, whatever you want to call them, if you were to pick 3 skills that have really catapulted your career to where you are right now, which should they be and why? Maybe if you could put it into context. I'll start with you, Ernest, then you can go back to Emmanuel.
Okay, so 3 skills for me that catapulted my my journey into cloud and where I am today is the first one I would say is discipline. That is the number one. The number 2 will be my technical skills, and then number 3 will be my soft skills.
Awesome. Maybe you can put it into context. Maybe you can tell us one time when discipline, or maybe how these things, can just put it into context so that the audience can resonate with that.
Yes. So technical skills in the sense that you should be able to solve problems and contribute to whatever project that is being done in your environment. The reason why I don't go much into details when it comes to my job is because I work for a government contractor, and we have very strict compliance things that we have to follow, and I can't go much into details. But when it comes to technical skills, just being able to solve problems, being able to troubleshoot, because the last thing you want to do is have a problem at hand and you don't know where to begin, right? You don't know how to go about it. But if you have a solid fundamentals in the cloud, regardless of what problem you have, even if you only have 10% of an idea of how to go about it, that 10% can actually help you get started with, where you have to begin your troubleshooting from, and eventually you will get to the solution. When it comes to soft skills, you should be able to communicate technical concepts in a non-technical way for people to understand, right? Especially if you are dealing with clients, if you are dealing with vendors that are not very technical, how do you explain something that they need to them in a non-technical way to help them understand it? So that is where the soft skills comes into play. And then when I talk about discipline is key to everything I do. If I tell somebody I'm going to be at a meeting at 10 a.m., I'm not gonna, if I'm there 10 a.m., I'm late, right? I will make sure I'm the first one on the call and I'll be waiting. And that is just my personality. And I apply that to everything else I do. If I tell myself that today, there is this project that I have to work on, test it, make sure it works before I go to work, I will make sure that I wake up early, work on that, make sure it works before I go to work. And discipline is basically doing what you say you are going to do. That is discipline.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 that I would say impacted my journey to where I am today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And swiftly take it to Emmanuel so that you can be able to put it into context. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin, and thanks, Ernest. So technically, I would say troubleshooting, just like Ernest already said, because in this field, honestly, this field is all about solving problems. So you want to help a lot of people to solve problems. When you get a job, they are not just giving you the offer for fun. They are bringing you in to solve a problem for them. And in terms of troubleshooting, in terms of helping people, I think everything is just put together there, just like Ernest said, troubleshooting, being generous in terms of pointing people, even if you don't have the answer to the question or you don't have solution right away, you can point them to the right direction or to the right documentation about how to solve that problem. So that aspect has really helped me. And in the process of doing that, I discovered that I become better. I believe in this philosophy that when you lift others, you grow. The more you help people, the more you get better. The more you train people, the more you talk to people about this field, about what you know, what you say you know, the more convinced they are, the more, trustful they are, when it comes to you talking to them. Now, in terms of soft skill, what really helped me, especially during interviews, was to I was always creative. Like every interview, I planned very well, and I ensure that I create something different. Everybody has that talent. They have that. Everybody has that uniqueness. To be different. We are. They said we are made. The Bible says, the scripture says we are made in image and likeness of God, but God has put that uniqueness in each one of us. So if you look at yourself, you see that uniqueness that makes you stand out, from other people. So that's what I try to do during my interview, and I try to prepare to let them see that uniqueness in me, and that has really, really helped me a lot.
Thank you so much. I just like it's quite a lot. I think I'll have to also go back and watch this live all over again, because the nuggets of wisdom that you both of you are throwing are coming in thick and fast. From Ernest, what I've just picked as a highlight is how you can communicate technical concepts in an untechnical way. I've seen so many, like, let's say engineers, they pass out a big opportunity to go and talk to a board or be on the front face, customer facing role, just because they miss that skill of communicating technical concepts in a very non-technical way and be able to explain the value around it. For Emmanuel, when you just mentioned, when you lift people, other people, you grow yourself and you grow higher, and also putting it in even in the biblical concept in terms of uniqueness, such that you're creative, because people will always remember something about you if you do something totally different, especially when you go to an interview and you don't just answer the same way and be all there shivering and wondering what is, making sure that you plan it out in advance, see what you can bring out as you, is quite something. I couldn't put it in any other perspective or any other better perspective. So Dr. Samba, my co-host,
Yes,
take it
sir.
away.
All right, thank you very much. I want to appreciate Ernest and Emmanuel. We've put you guys on a hot seat, right, on the spot. I hope it's not too hot. All right, so while we relax a little, I want our audience to be preparing their questions. We're going to have question session for 10 minutes, and then we're going to wrap it up, right? We extended a little today because people kind of joined a bit late, and we're hoping that our subsequent sessions are going to be um much better. We're going to actually meet up with the time that was scheduled. All right, so we're already under the anointing today. That's why I just saw people, enjoyed what's going on. But just to add on to a little about what Emmanuel said, right? The aspect of contributing to community. See, I tell people this is not about what you know, it's about who you know also that really matters in the industry, right? And that's one of the things that also helps me stand out, where I really focus on my strength of being able to connect people together to be able to get what I want or get what I need, right? So if you have that skill set of that people's skills, it's very important, because like I say, nobody will ever know everything, right? But your ability to learn and have that open mindset to consistently learn, no matter where you find yourself, the industry itself is always constantly changing. And so that ability for you to be able to get information or get solution is what is going to help take us far. And just to add to the fact that a practical example, like Kevin used to join our workshop sessions last year. He was always in the back end, just attending the sessions, and then he would come on camera, he would contribute. One day he just picked me, right, via the chat and said, Doc, there's a solution that is being provided that I'm done with it, right? So I think I would like to share my GitHub repo with you. He just simply shared a GitHub repo with me. I saw it and it was quite fascinating. And I said, Kevin, please, can we have a call? Right? We scheduled a Zoom call, and from that Zoom call, I made an offer for Kevin to come into SolaviseTech as a CTO, and that was it. So as I'm speaking right now, guys, if you're inspired, You have Ernest and Emmanuel right here. Something can happen through the DM. It always happens. So you're not here just to listen to this, we are here to connect people to opportunities. And that is what Africa needs right now. That's what we're doing at SolaviseTech. These sessions are not just for people to come, just listen to them. So from here, by the time you're leaving this call, you have 30 new contacts in your phone on your LinkedIn profile. You never can tell. Somebody could be here that's going to recommend you to a job tomorrow, because that's one of the hidden ways of getting a job in industry. Most people don't know that. They think it's just about, going to job sites, applying for jobs, but you can actually get a recommendation through sessions like this. And so if we can't maybe just meet in person, what about virtually? You can start a conversation from there, right? So the last question I want to ask maybe to our panelists would be, all right, we've heard the nice things. All right, let's know what has been your biggest challenge, let's say in your current role while in the cloud right now. What is that one thing that, probably you've had other challenges, but what is the biggest challenge that you've had this far, and how were you able to overcome it? Maybe we'll take that in just for each of you, just 120 seconds. That's 2 minutes each, and then we're gonna go take questions. Thank you. Let's start with Ernest.
Yeah. For me, I'm someone that I embrace challenges because I see them as opportunities, right? Without a challenge, there are no opportunities, and without opportunities, we won't have jobs, right? It's that simple. So at work, I would say when I started working with the company that I'm with now, um, I know nothing about like when it comes to like the administration aspect of Jira, right? I know nothing about Jira when I accepted the position. But then while I was waiting to get, other access, they made me a Jira admin. And from nowhere, we were having a stand-up meeting, and my boss was just like, "Oh, Ernest, um, we have some tickets that are defaulting to someone who left the company. So they want me to go in there and change the settings where the new team lead will be getting the tickets. That means everything will default to the new team lead, and then she will then decide who works on what." And he just gave me that assignment to go and work on. I have zero clue. I've never used it before. I've never even seen it before until that time. So what I did was I told him I'll do it. I did not give any I did not make any excuses or anything, and I just went ahead and looked for the Jira documentation. And with the help of the documentation, I was able to get it done. You know, and that wasn't the first. There were three different things that they asked me to do in Jira. I can't talk about the rest, but that just shows my problem solving skills. Being someone that nothing should be too big for us, especially in an era of information. Information is everywhere, and when it comes to technology, what people fail to understand is everything you need to do your job is online. You don't have to do any magic. Anything that you are trying to do today, someone has already done and has outlined the steps that you need to take in order to also get it done. So if you are looking to troubleshoot anything, just do a little bit of research on Google or use AI and leverage ChatGPT if you can, and try to figure out how do I go about doing XYZ, and you will get step by step way of doing it. So that is what I have to say about that.
Thank you very much, Ernest, for that. Let's hear from Emmanuel.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Samba. So I will answer that question from two ways. First, getting to the role. I think I briefly mentioned that sometimes you have to submit a lot of applications before getting a job. I think it happens to everybody, maybe with different levels of experience anyway. That was one challenge. And another challenge in this field is most of the positions, not all of them, most of the positions, they want you to know like everything. I think it's just a paradigm shift in the in the field today. The jobs are still there, but they want you to know a lot of tools. But like I said, don't be scared. Just try to have a basic knowledge. Ernest already mentioned YouTube, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. I have a lot of them on my tab that I leverage for things like this. So that is before getting the job. Now, because all these things they come in phases. When you are in training, it's a different experience. When you start to putting in your application, it's a different experience. When you get a job, it's another experience because you have to think about things that you have to do to maintain and keep your job. And it's a broad, factor, spectrum of, things that you have to do. Soft skills is very, very important, like we have been discussing here. Yeah. So another challenge that I have was in terms of, but not really a challenge anyway, but it was a big opportunity for me to be better. My background, I've used Jenkins a lot. Jenkins is CI tool, continuous integration. Well, some people call it CI/CD, but it's basically CI tool. But where I am now, where I'm working now, we use GitHub Actions. And I see that trend now that most companies, they are trying to move away. I'm not saying people are not using Jenkins again, but people are now moving away from Jenkins to GitHub Actions and GitLab. Because when you have GitHub Enterprise as a company, you don't have to pay to use GitHub Actions because it comes free. So, but if you are using Jenkins is a different tool, it's a different company entirely. So you have to still pay and then do a lot of configuration. So I guess maybe that was one of the reasons. So, but I have to learn it. And it was easy for me because of my prior experience in Jenkins. So I kind of, moved that, into GitHub Actions and everything was going fine. And I ended up loving it, So those are the challenges that you could face as someone, either you are just going into tech or you are being tech. It's always there because all these tools, things are changing very fast. That's another challenge in the field, but it's really good because you are not bored. You keep, learning every time.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, and so to summarize that, Emmanuel just dropped in the chat, right, that you're able to transfer skills, and that's fantastic. So, while everyone is dropping their socials in the chat, I think we just had Akam join us. If you are in the position to maybe be on camera, that would be amazing. As we are about to wrap up the session, your schedule does not really permit, but we are glad that you still pushed hard to join in this session. Maybe just a word or two from you would equally be very, very encouraging. Maybe you could just take the next 2 minutes to talk to our audience, right? So Akam is actually one of our panelists who has a wide experience as a multi-cloud DevSecOps engineer. So maybe just tell us where you're based and what a DevSecOps engineer entails, and maybe for those who have passion in the line of security, what they should expect on a day-to-day basis, right? Maybe the next 2 to 5 minutes while we're now going to take questions. So Kevin, maybe you can just look at the chat, the questions that we already have in the chat. We can take those up, and then if anyone has questions, you can just kind of raise your hand. I will take you over to you, Mark. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good.
Okay. All right. So, my name is Akam Dasi, and most people call me Mark Kings. So I'm based in Tampa, Florida, and I'm happy to have been here. I'm just from the dentist. I had some issues, so that's why I had to join late. So I just said, let me not miss this since it was still on. So I'm mostly in the field of cybersecurity, and I've been in IT in general for like 23 years now. I started way early, around the year 2000, when we're still dealing with, those Pentium computers and using the DOS and all of that. So my journey into cybersecurity and DevSecOps, DevOps, cloud engineering has been a very awesome one. So one of the key things I want to talk about getting into cybersecurity, and cybersecurity is a very vast field, and it could be applied in any other field because today's world, cybersecurity is very, very necessary because getting into the digital transformation, when you look back, how many devices are now on the internet? There are this age now, we have more and more getting into the internet and even connecting. So it's a very challenging field as well because I still keep learning every day. So DevSecOps was one of the things that I actually thought of, getting into. I've not been too long in it because when I did my training in cloud engineering, my focus was to understand the infrastructure side of it and how to secure it. And then DevOps came in, and I also went into DevOps, then tried to understand how to secure CI/CD pipelines, containers, clusters, and all of that. All those things were new to me, but after getting into the training and I saw that, but it's still an infrastructure, right? So how do we secure those type of infrastructure? So I'm just going to outline some few things, especially on the question that Dr. Samba asked about DevSecOps. DevSecOps engineers, they are the ones that kind of, integrate practices into the DevOps process and ensuring that, security is considered at every stage of the software development life cycle, right? So some of the duties of these DevSecOps engineers, one of them is security integration. And you have to look at them into embedding cybersecurity practices into the CI/CD pipelines. So I'm just going to do like a high level overview because I'm not going to go too deep to that because the time is short. Then you know that in DevOps, there is also automation. How do we use security tools or how do we automate the process of security using these automation processes, right? And then there is also what we call vulnerability assessment. So all of this can also be integrated. And vulnerability assessment is also done in every part of information technology because you want all your systems to be kind of secure, right? It could be on premises, it could be the cloud environment. So, but DevSecOps engineers, they are the ones that are responsible for seeing that, even after the CI/CD pipelines are up and running, everything is running, they make sure that they are they test them, they keep on, continuous assessment, making sure that everything is being tested. If there are any vulnerabilities, it can be patched. And there are some tools that can be used to do all of that. And then not only that, we also have continuous monitoring. So DevSecOps are the ones that are, much more focusing on continuous monitoring and making sure that everything is functioning properly, security-wise and infrastructure-wise as well. Because when the DevOps engineer comes, all they do is build the infrastructure, though they can also troubleshoot if something is not working. But monitoring will also give insight to the DevSecOps to see if there is an attack going on in your CI/CD pipelines, or generally in security, if there is an attack going on in your infrastructure, right? So we have tools like Prometheus and Grafana that can give you some insight on some of those things. So then you have, I think there is an open source tool that I have been actually utilizing. It monitors everything. It's called Zabbix. It's an open source tool. And if you're in the field of cloud, trust me, when I introduced this tool to my company, it cut them costs because it's a free tool. So it cut them a lot of costs, and it's an advanced tool that monitors applications, infrastructures, CI/CD pipelines, databases. It has a whole lot. And they just came up with the version 7, which is very awesome. Web application monitoring, web page monitoring. So it's really, really nice. And yeah, and also compliance and governance. You want to make sure that your organization meets up with all of these standards and not to and not to get fined by organizations and government by a security audit that might take them by surprise, you know. So yeah, that's just a little bit of what I can say. And I know there's a whole lot to talk about, but I just want to say, yeah, I'm just
Right.
that's
Absolutely.
brief.
Thank you very much, Mark. And just to let our audience know that Mark is the CEO of Markins Group, which is a partner company with SolaviseTech and based in the US. And this is the security arm of SolaviseTech. So we equally run trainings in cloud and cyber security, thanks to Mark. All right. So we partner company. So thank you very much, Mark, for spelling that out. And also, just going to go straight away to maybe take amazing questions. Kevin, I would love that you could need a question session. I think
Sure.
we also have the other stuff which we have to share with our audience. So maybe you can take it over from here right now. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, you'll take up that last part of what you need to share. So let me just take through a quick fire questions. And maybe even before we go to the ones that are on the chat, I've seen Abel, you've raised your hand. Maybe you can unmute and ask your question.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. I hope you are able to hear me, everyone.
Loud and clear.
Yes, so thank you for this initiative, Kevin and Samba, to get to, network, interact, and talk about cloud. So my question is pretty much simple and from a technical standpoint. And maybe if I can look at it from a holistic point of view, the cloud as a technology currently is one that we are not able to avoid. But even though, okay, as it came about, we find out that most organizations did this cloud first approach, whereby they were trying to adopt the cloud. But of late, we've been seeing a shift in the industry, whereby even though an organization was fully on cloud, on public cloud, now we're seeing a shift whereby organizations are going hybrid. We are seeing a shift where even few of these organizations are even going back on premise. Maybe you can advise us on why do we have this trend? What's really happening? Is there a problem, and is there any way that we as talent can utilize our skill set to prevent, future occurrences of the same? That's if I will be working, for instance, for an organization that is on the cloud. That was my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any panelists would like to take the question?
Sure.
You can see Ernest, you want to say? Yeah, sure, Ernest. Okay.
Yes. So thank you, Abel, for that amazing question. That is definitely one of the things that a lot of people have been talking about in the tech space for some time now. And I just want to clarify a few things when it comes to that, right? So everybody understands that cloud is the future, right? If you're a company right now, you are operating on-prem. If you're not in the cloud, you are either thinking to move into the cloud, or you are uh, in the preparation phases where, you are actually moving your stuff to the cloud. And the reason why I'm saying that is, with the emergence of artificial intelligence, for you to make use of large language models, right? You cannot do that running an on-prem facility because of the amount of data that you are going to need in order to make that happen. So the reason why a lot of companies are moving back on-prem, or a lot of companies are trying to manage, let's say, a hybrid uh, 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 a hybrid cloud is because, first of all, there is a huge demand for cloud engineers, DevOps engineers, DevSecOps engineers, cybersecurity engineers that understand the cloud. And a lot of companies move to the cloud and then find out that they don't have the proper skills of people to do the job. And the last thing the company wants to do is to lose their customer base because they don't have the right skill set, and they cannot keep the applications up and running because attackers are always on the move, trying to infiltrate their environment. So instead of them to open their infrastructure up to vulnerabilities and stuff like that, they prefer rather moving back to on-prem so they can manage that until they have the right people in place to actually do the job. One thing companies are beginning to find out very quickly as well is there are a lot of people who are not taking their time to actually understand the technical aspect of what the cloud is about before they are even getting jobs, right? Nowadays, anybody can get a certificate. Anybody can claim they are an AWS cloud engineer. They can go through the interview process. They can get the job. But at the end of the day, employers are finding out that not a lot of these people are able to do what they say they are capable of doing. So these are things that a lot of employers are trying to navigate. So to answer your question, why are companies moving back to on-prem, or why are companies having some sort of like a hybrid cloud framework? Is because they are looking for more people who are knowledgeable about the space of cloud computing to come on board and help them out. And at the moment, they don't have that. That is why we are seeing that transition. But I believe that as time goes on, as more and more people hone their skills in terms of actually knowing how to deploy infrastructure within the cloud, do things like continuous integration, continuous deployment, and know how to monitor and actually help a company position itself to not only move to the cloud, but also to save costs. That is when we'll see a lot more people, fully become cloud agnostic. Actually, cloud native. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, cloud native. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Anything else to add to this, Akam or Emmanuel, to the conversation?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like Ernest was saying, I want to emphasize on the skills, because what I've noticed that a lot of people that have actually coached, they were doing before is they try to get the certifications without even getting the knowledge. And then you see them practicing interviews without actually doing projects to understand some of these questions, like real life scenarios. And when they get the job, you see that in the trial period, after that, they are fired. And that gives a kind of, bad image to the tech industry, especially those who are actually striving for it. Now, you can have all the certifications in the world, but what actually matters is the skill that you have. Can you deliver? Because companies, what they want now, because they even hire people without degrees, without certifications, if you can prove that you actually know what you're saying that you know. We can make all the fancy resumes. It's kind of funny today that some people are taking interviews for others who don't even know anything. Trust me, it's a very bad practice, and I am strongly against that. I teach you how to do the interview, and along the line, like if you don't even know how to express yourself, that is another problem. Communication, because communication is how you sell yourself. Now, imagine I bought something that I was not prepared to buy because someone actually communicated it to me well. I was like so amazed. I'm like, but how did he convince me to do this when I did not actually need it, right? But then I noticed that it is one of the key things about getting into cloud and cybersecurity in general, or the information technology field. You have to build strong skill set. Like now, a lot of people minimize soft skills. Let me tell you something. Companies prefer to hire people that can communicate with them well and then train them how to do most technical stuff, because not every company utilizes the same technology. So even if you have the technical skill set, you will still need to learn on how to use theirs, right? So it is very, very important that you kind of gain the skill set. And multi-cloud is a way of, kind of having a backup. Because imagine what happened. I used to say this a lot, but people will not really understand. Back, was it 2021, when Facebook, Instagram, Twitter died down? Like, we could not access it for how many hours? Almost 6 hours. people were so devastated. It felt like the world was ending, right? You cannot chat with family. You cannot. Now, what happened? It was just a BGP protocol error that brought down the whole of AWS. And companies that were relying on them, right? So after that incident, they were like, you know what? We need to think into going out into multi-cloud so that even if one cloud service is going down, at least we still have another one that would act as a backup for us until we are back up and running. So it's still, multi-cloud is a backup solution, okay? I would say it's a backup for availability, reliability also. So it makes your production environment, much more available to your customers. At the end, customers is the key. If you cannot provide them with the services, they will go to someone else that can do that for them, right? And now it's becoming more and more difficult to manage on premises because there is a lot involved. First of all, you have to manage the physical devices. And if a physical server goes down, the time it takes to replace that server might be a month. That is already downtime. Now, you need more personnel to manage that, okay? Now, if you're an environment that operates 24/7, you need more personnel, and that is more bills incurring on you, and you need to have a 24/7 hours of work, like for people to actually manage that. So I think most of this, I think that with time, most people will go to the cloud, and those that want to stay online, on-prem, are those that are required by the law. Especially there are some services that you cannot host in the cloud due to compliance reasons. So it has to be on your own premises. But at least that is why we have services in the cloud that can still monitor that on-prem environment, okay? And takes care of that as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Manuel, and to chime in before I go to the next question.
Yeah, let me just add this in a jiffy. Yeah, this was part of the discussion a few minutes ago. Yeah, just like Mark just mentioned now, some company will still remain in on-prem, like banks, like military. Those people, they don't want any compromise with their data because of the sensitivity, because of the level of the sensitivity of those data. So they will still want to remain like hybrid, one leg in the cloud and one leg on-prem. So I'm not seeing those ones changing anytime soon. So then, and another aspect is that, when it comes to interview, we just have to know what we say we know, because even if you get in one way or the other, you still have to know it. You still have to learn it. If you get in there, don't just stay there because you got the opportunity. Still try to know what you say you know, so that you'll be able to be creative yourself, because those knowledge too, they are so important for you to build your expertise on. And just like I've been saying, I can't stop saying this, that creativity is very, very important. Be creative, think about the solutions that you can also bring in. Just like how I'm advocating for green DevOps or cloud sustainability, anybody can also bring in whatever concept, because this field is really broad and it accommodates a lot of things. Like, technology connects mostly everything. I don't think there's no aspect of the society today that is not connected, or that you cannot be integrated with technology. Like, I don't see. So everything involves technology, and we have to appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Emmanuel. So I first would like to appreciate you're also live on YouTube, and I saw Cyril, who is watching us on YouTube, ask a question, so that you can, before you come back here to Zoom, is asking, how do you deal with the rapidly changing technology sector? Before you are done with learning one tool, another is produced. I think we had mentioned something around this, but yeah, maybe one of us can be able to share something around that. Emmanuel also
Yeah.
saying people don't like Jenkins. Yes, please. Yes, you can take that up.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that the other time that I was not so vast in GitHub Actions, but my background was in Jenkins. I've used Jenkins to build and automate different processes, and in my current job, they were using Jenkins, but they just migrated from Jenkins to GitHub Actions. So, and I never used GitHub Action for a lot of projects, but Jenkins was my background. So honestly, there's no leeway than just to learn it. And see, if you have if you have done some project on Jenkins before, I don't think it will be so difficult or rigorous for you to be able to be at par with GitHub Actions, because like, don't focus on the tools, honestly. Don't focus on the tools, but focus on the process. Focus on the framework. Focus on the principle, because most of these principles are always the same. The same thing we use, for instance, the same thing we use Jenkins to do is the same thing we use GitHub Actions to do. It's just some little differences. We don't have to start talking about all those technical jargons here, but that is the fact. So once you have a basic knowledge on one, you'll be able to, I think somebody put it on the chat, I think Mr. Atanga, that you can transfer that skill, to another tool. So, but me, I always advise people, don't focus on the tools, because if you focus on the tools, you will get lost. Focus on the process, the framework. DevOps is not a role, like we have been saying, it's a culture. And that is why when you go to if you go to 10 different companies, you will see that the way they do their deployment is uniquely different. Like it's entirely different. So because that's what we call DevOps, is just like a culture of building of software development life cycle, and it's very, very unique. So to me, don't focus on the tools, focus on the process, learn the framework, understand the framework, understand how it works, then I think you will be fine.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Ernest, Akam, anyone like to chime in on that before we go to the next one?
Please just repeat the question again. Sorry.
Yeah, so the question he was asking is, how do you deal with the rapidly changing tech sector where before you're done learning with one tool, another one has already come up, and all that learning maybe would have gone to waste?
Okay. So yeah, I know that is very challenging, because there are a lot of tools, technologies coming up. Like Emmanuel said, right? It's understanding the concept of everything. And for me, I cultivate this habit of continuous learning. I learn every day, right? The fact that I know this doesn't mean that I just need to focus on that alone. Now, I am already learning cybersecurity in AI, because I know that's the next big thing. So now that is a challenge. So what I do is I just, create my time and motivate myself, because you have to be your own self-motivator to be able to meet up with some of these challenges. Because trust me, tools will keep coming. Now, it's just for you to do a research on the most used tools in the industry and just try to learn them. And the thing is, once you know one very well, it will be easier to understand the other one, because it always, like, if you know how to drive a car, right? If they bring a Mercedes, the navigator is on the left, but on the other cars is on the right. So it's just by learning to know that, all right, if I'm using a Mercedes car, this is where I need to go for the navigators. So it's the same thing in technology. If you understand that foundational concept, and this is something I always tell my students, foundation is the key. If you have the right foundation, understanding how things work, you can build any other skill on top of it. So it's just like you see the skyscrapers that we see. If the foundation was not solid, if they had it, it's going to collapse someday. So there is no shortcut to information technology if you don't want to get to the foundation.
Yeah.
Because it's from the foundation that you have to build everything up. Now, I was using Windows operating system, right? That's what I started with. And because I was able to learn DOS, now when I get into Linux, I'm like, okay, it's almost the same interface. I just need to learn in Linux. If I want to create a file in Windows, I'm using this. In Linux, what is it? So it's the same thing. So when these tools come up, once you have a solid understanding of one, trust me, you will get to understand the other. And like I said, put that zeal to study. Always study, because in the field of information technology, always studying is the key. Thank you.
Awesome. I can say you are in the same wavelength with Ernest. Ernest was saying this before you joined us. He's talking about foundation, technical foundations. He also mentioned about always learning. And I think that is a good cue for Ernest to answer this question from Abimola. Is asking, I want to know how to prevent bank apps that are on the cloud from losing service connection. I don't know whether that's enough of context for you to answer the question, or maybe Abimola can ask, or maybe you can answer it, Ernest.
Come again with the question.
So he is asking, I want to know how to prevent banking applications that are on the cloud from losing service connection. Yeah.
From losing service connection. Okay, so the first question I'll ask is this application just running in one availability zone, or are you using multiple availability zone? If you deploy the application in multiple availability zone, then you shouldn't have that issue where you are losing connection, because if you have a latency problem with one AZ, maybe the other AZ will be able to serve the traffic that your end users need to keep that application going. So I would say take a look at the way your infrastructure is set up. Make sure you have an application load balancer that is distributing traffic to multiple availability zones for high availability. And also take a look at things like, if you're in AWS, take a look at things like CloudFront, because CloudFront can help with latency issues and stuff like that.
Awesome. Thank you. I think hope that answers you, and feel free to reach to Ernest on LinkedIn, or maybe where you can be able to get more advice on that. So I'd seen Ahmed Nasir's hand has been up for quite a while. Maybe you can unmute and ask your question before we as we also try to wrap up this question and answer session. Ahmed Nasir?
Yes, please. Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you to the panelists for granting this masterpiece interview, and of course to Dr. Samba and yourself, Kevin, for this opportunity. So my question is to
Emmanuel. If it's possible to be on camera, that would be super amazing for our documentation. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not really on. I can be on camera, but I'm really not. It's okay. I'm just on my. So let's give me a second. So, can you see me? Yeah, just normal. Sorry, this is not my best appearance. So my question would be to Dr. Emmanuel. So the question would be, you mentioned something about green DevOps, more like sustainability of the cloud. Yeah, that kind of piqued my interest, because I understand cloud itself is a more approach to sustainability, because, imagine companies moving from on-prem to the cloud, right? It's a form of making sure companies do not overutilize spaces, right? They do not, use their servers in their offices, those kind of using power generators, using cooling, all these kind of things are the reasons why cloud is providing a service, so that companies don't have to bother about those amenities they have on their facilities. So when you talk about green DevOps, so in what aspects are you talking about green DevOps? What is the plan? How do you plan to achieve it, right? What are the tangible things you are aiming to get with green DevOps? Are these things new ideas, or they've been there before? Is it something groundbreaking that you're bringing to the field? Or tell me the concept of all the idea of green DevOps that you're trying to bring. Yeah, I just wanted to have an understanding on that aspect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. Yeah, so green DevOps is an emerging concept that combines the principles of DevOps, then with a focus on sustainability and environmental impact. So the goal is to optimize the entire software development life cycle not only for maybe performance or efficiency, but in terms of minimizing or reducing the carbon emission or the carbon footprint. If you check AWS documentation, they have started doing something on that seriously. And if you check their leadership principles, you will see that they just added that sustainability aspect. So there are different ways we can, implement this. So personally, I'm trying to advise my company to do something like that. Not many companies will accept it. No, I mean, I've accepted it already, but most companies are accepting it. So in terms of energy efficiency, you will see that any company that is sustainable or that is practicing green DevOps, we kind of they will be efficient in terms of the energy consumption. For instance, you want to implement, you want to move to the cloud instead of being on-prem. If you can be on-prem, if you can be in the cloud, if there's no requirement or compliance that stops you from going to the cloud, you will see that you will you reduce a lot of energy usage because of the space that the data center takes and the management, the overhead cost, and all those things. And then in terms of the application itself, you want to consider serverless architecture, to reduce idle server time. You want to use Lambda, you want to use Azure functions, you want to, try all those serverless, those are the key things that we can factor into our application. If your application can accept serverless, why not? You can, those are the areas, those are the tools that you can use to achieve that sustainability or sustainable software development. And another thing is maybe in terms of computation power, in terms of the number of instances, just like I talk about one project, sustainability project that we did, just to ensure that the overhead cost of spinning up instances, developers forgetting to shut down those instances, that is also a project that kind of reflects a sustainable software development or a sustainable goal in tech. And then another thing is in terms of monitoring, you can also look at continuous monitoring and optimization. You want to monitor, you want to use the monitoring environment. I think maybe NS or someone was talking about Grafana and Prometheus. You want to utilize, those tools also to monitor the energy consumption. We have some companies now, introducing some softwares, that will monitor the kind of energy, how you consume energy during your software development lifecycle process. Things like that are coming up. It's not well accepted now. Everybody has not accepted it, but I know most cloud providers are now, building that carbon footprint, into their dashboards, so that you'll be able to see how what kind of energy consumption you are kind of executing during your software development lifecycle. Yeah, so it's a broad level of things like it's really broad, even in terms of pipeline. You want to optimize your pipeline to reduce your CI/CD pipeline to reduce the number of builds, and tests that you run unnecessarily, because when you build all those application, whether Docker file or whatever, you want to monitor the consumption, how you consume energy during that process, and that is why using containerization now will bring us that efficient, use of, resources, so it's a lot, we can talk about this later, but there are different tools, that you can use. I've talked about the monitoring and optimization tools. I've talked about different tools with cloud provider. Like for instance, I think Microsoft Azure now, they are committed to becoming one of the cloud providers that will be carbon negative by 2030. By 2030, they want to make sure they are not emitting any carbon into the climate. And then for AWS too, they also offer some, service tools and services that are mentioned that will support this goal of sustainability, like the well-architected framework. If you review that, you see that sustainability is embedded, into that framework. Kubernetes is a form of better efficient tools, instead of spinning up many EC2 instances of virtual machines, you can use that. Terraform is also in a way allows for efficient, resource management and provisioning, just with one line of command, you can automate that process. And if you want to make it better, you can use Jenkins or GitHub Actions, to automate all those Terraform configuration, Terraform apply and all those things, to run it by themselves so that you don't have to do that. So, I can keep talking about this, till dawn, but we can take this conversation to another session.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Sure.
thank you so much. That was very nice. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nasri, and thank you so much, Emmanuel, for that. And talking of pipelines, Akam, I'd like you to answer this question, as I also will give the final question to Dr. Samba as he takes us through the last part as we wrap up. And also for those who are following us, please, I've posted a link for the feedback form on our chat. We'd like to let our panelists know how they did. We also like to know how we did so that we can make future sessions much, much better. So please do fill the feedback. It's a very simple rating and just 2 questions, as short, as sweet as you would love it. Thank you. So this question by Daniel is asking, is security in the cloud limited to security in the pipelines? What are the other scopes of security in the cloud? So Akam, you can maybe take this.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So security in the cloud is not just limited to security in the pipelines, because first of all, right, before you access your cloud environment, you have to make sure that it is only authorized people that are able to access it. Now, when you create your virtual networks, right, and it has access to the internet, and these virtual networks is like, it's just like your private network that you also put in some security measures to make sure that you and the authorized personnel are the only one accessing it. Now, if we get into the cloud infrastructure, so we have like the virtual firewalls that you can put at the gateway, right, to kind of actually monitoring what traffic is entering into your network infrastructure. So it's not just the pipelines alone. So now, if you want to check into, let's take this scenario for hosting a website, right? Your web servers, those are the ones that publicly face the internet, right? But you don't want to make your databases as well to face the internet. So you want to make it in such a way that that only requests, like only the web servers can access the database servers. Now, another way that you could also protect your infrastructure, not just with the pipelines, is that now, when you have a load balancer, you're also protecting the web servers because you're exposing just a single IP address to the internet, which is the load balancer. And the load balancer will, in turn, distribute the load to the various web servers. So with the pipelines, it's more of applications, because applications, if they have like a bug, like, a bug is a fault in the code, because when programmers are writing code, they can be an error, and those errors can be, they might, instead of encrypting the password field, they leave it as a plain text, and someone getting the code, or like using techniques like SQL injections on the login form can get password, or use cross-site scripting attacks. They can always get your cookies and things like that. So it's not just in the pipeline, so it is everywhere. So what I say is security is everywhere. Even the people that are using this infrastructure, they need to be secure as well, right? In one of my introductory courses to cybersecurity, I said the main goal of a cybersecurity analyst is to protect the people, which is the first thing, because the people are the ones that are using all of these technologies. And if they are compromised, then that technology will be compromised too, because the people have access to all of this infrastructure. And the most common attack today is the phishing attack. So with a phishing attack, it can compromise any environment. So to conclude with that, cybersecurity or security is not just implemented in the CI/CD pipelines, is implemented everywhere, even with the employees at the companies. They have to get this basic training to understand what to look for and what not to click on in order to compromise an infrastructure. Because you can have the best security ever, but once an employee in the company is compromised, your infrastructure might be compromised based on the level of access that they have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. It's quite enthralling just to know that, as you've mentioned when you started out speaking, and you said security is applied across all industries, and even within cloud itself, it's not within just pipelines, and you've put it into perspective very well. Ernest, you mentioned to us when we are starting out the Fireside chat that you had to spend $2,500 for your training. And
Right.
at that point, you decided to quit your job, and you thought it's a 6-month program. Then it turned out to be a 9-month program, and you had not envisioned that you could be able to spend that. So
Right.
if Ifeanyi was asking this question, I am an IT operations officer who is keen to transitioning to DevOps, but the challenge has been not being able to meet up with the program course for DevOps training. And at the moment, I'm trying to search online to get training materials. What can you advise that I do at the moment to be an awesome perspective for you to wrap up the Q&A for us?
Right. That is a very good question, my brother. And what I will say is this, right? When it comes to IT, or when it comes to the cloud specifically, you have to be willing to invest in yourself if you really want to put yourself in the best possible position to be successful, right? There are so many materials out there. If you want to do a self-study, there are a ton of materials out there. But one thing you will find out very quickly with those materials is that as soon as you start learning those things, it will get to a point that you will be stuck. There is nobody to ask questions. There is nobody there to guide you and help you. And because of those obstacles, like, you will end up spending so much time trying to learn something by yourself, and it's going to be hard for you to make that transition into a real working environment. So what I'll say to you is this: everything in life is about sacrifice, right? Maybe you are living in some parts of Africa, you don't have, $1,000 to spare. But this is one thing that I know about our African brothers and sisters, right? If I tell you right now that you have a free visa, or you have a green card, I can give you a green card to come to the US. Just spend $2,000 or $2,500 for that visa and come to the US. Trust me, right now you don't have a penny in your pocket, but you will find $2,500 to come to the US, because you believe that once you get to the US, your whole life is changed, right? So with the same mindset, understand that cloud engineering is something that will change your life forever. It has done it for me, and I believe the same thing can happen for you. Money should not be the reason why you don't change your life. Whatever is going to take for you to raise the money and get yourself involved with an institution that can actually help you and point you in the right direction to make you successful, please do yourself a favor. If you have to work 2 jobs, whatever you need to do to raise the money, do it, raise the money, because guess what? It will be worth it for you in the long run. Everybody can use that excuse. Even myself, I could have used that excuse that I don't have the money to enroll in a good program. So what do I need to do? But to tell you the truth, if you go the self-study route, looking at what it takes to actually get into the field, trust me, it's going to be, your chances of actually getting into the field is going to be like 1 out of a million, if I'm not exaggerating. So try your best, seek help from relatives, work really hard, position yourself to get into, like, one of these trusted boot camps, and I believe you'll get a lot of value from that. Thank you.
All right. So I think that's equally where let me just chime in, Kevin, as we are moving towards the end of the sessions. Thank you very much for that question. And just to let you know that that's the reason for which SolaviseTech was born. When I was about to get into the tech space, one of the biggest challenges I was told was there are no jobs in tech. in Africa. That was one of the biggest challenges. And I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I love problems, right? Whenever I see a problem, that's where I'm going to instead. Everybody's running from the problems. So I was like, how can I come in and be able to solve this problem? So I knew I can't do it alone. We need to be able to collaborate with bright minds who also are looking forward to attracting this opportunity. And I use the term attracting because once value is located anywhere in the world, right, it's going to attract the right resources towards. So it doesn't matter whether you're in Africa or you're out of Africa. Once you're good, once you're offering value, you begin to attract opportunities. So now that's what SolaviseTech does. That's why even right now we equally have candidates who are doing the training on scholarship. We've actually offered scholarship to people who earn it, right? One of the things I noticed was there are some people who are even given the opportunity to study in a boot camp for free and they don't value it, right? And they get to mess it up. Trust me, when I was doing the training, we had 10 colleagues who were given a 100% scholarship. But you know what? At the end of the training, just one person was able to survive through to the end out of 10, right? So why does that happen? It's because when people pay, you can write this down, guys. When people pay, they pay attention. Most often when people pay, they pay attention, right? Because they value what has gone out of them, especially when it goes out financially. So, and that's why when you look at what we do at SolaviseTech, this training we've had today, or this podcast session, if you have to, document in terms of financial worth, right? This should cost you thousands to millions of dollars. But this has been given for free, which means that you're able to leverage on these people's experiences to be able to break fast into industry. So this is one of the resources that you get here for free. But besides that, that engagement into your own training is very important. That's why even while I was coming to the industry myself as a medical doctor, I knew how to go find information myself. I can go online, I could do research, I would break in. But you know what? I prefer to go through the route of collaborating in a team. And that's one of the things that SolaviseTech is offering right here. Besides these soft skill sessions, we also offer technical sessions, and I would like probably if Eric can quickly grab the flyer for our technical sessions that come up on some Saturdays as well. You can equally drop in the chat, right? So we started last Saturday. Next we're going to we have 8 solid projects, technical projects we're going to be building, and one of those we're going to be doing some of those projects. We call have Emmanuel here on the call, who's going to be an amazing end-to-end DevOps pipeline using Terraform and all of that. We're going to have all those sessions. So I think next Saturday, Emmanuel, you're the one to be doing the session next Saturday, right? The security session, which is going to be more or less integrating Okta into AWS security and all of that. Yeah, so you can go on to enroll for the technical session, all right? And knowing that there is a community here, because SolaviseTech is not just about maybe a bootcamp, it's a community we're building. It's a community that is helping, connect people to opportunities. So I think with that, yeah, we've come to, thank you, Eric, equally for dropping the link to our community WhatsApp group. You can equally join the community to get more updates. So with this, we've come practically to the end of today's session. So those who are not in the community yet, you can actually join to get more updates. The next sessions of our trainings will be coming up. All right. So thank you very much. I think officially we've come to the end of this session. Stay glued to our communications channel. I want to appreciate, on behalf of the entire SolaviseTech team, please, can we put our hands together to appreciate our awesome panelists? And also, at this point, as we come to the end, please unmute or just turn on your camera so that we can have everybody. Let me unpin us all so that everybody's going to be on camera and we can be able to capture the entire screen, right? So guys, please just come on camera. I would encourage you equally to follow our various social media handles. At the moment, we're very active on LinkedIn. So you want to follow us right on LinkedIn, right? So please just come on camera. We're going to do a screenshot and feel free to document, this session on LinkedIn, right? Feel free to write about your learnings. I tell people we are in a digital age where, the future of work is going to be, the proof of work, right? So once we document our journey, it starts telling people out there what we're doing, our mindset, and people be quite interested enough to connect with us. And also, I want to appreciate one of our awesome panelists who's going to be in our future sessions, Daniel Dodo. Daniel, thank you for making out the time. If you can be on camera, maybe just give us a word, even for just 60 seconds. We'll be very grateful. Daniel is doing an awesome job. I joined his community, the Ghanaian community. He's really connecting a lot of people to amazing opportunities. So Daniel, you have 60 seconds just to maybe greet our audience while they anticipate your session coming up in the near future. Thank you, Daniel. All right. So if Daniel is close, we can have Daniel while every other person is trying to turn on their cameras. Maybe Kevin, you can do the screenshot from your end. All right.
I think let us put our best foot forward. Remember, I might not say, let me make sure this screenshot finds me while I'm looking at my camera. So let me just bring it up. Okay, Daniel is up. Okay, good. Then you do the screenshot, then you'll be able to speak. So let's look at the cameras, put a good smile. Remember that Dr. Samba has thousands of followers. I have thousands of followers. You don't want to look bad on our screenshot. Yes, awesome. Awesome. Let's do one more. Let me save another one. Remember, Akam has thousands of followers. Ernest has millions of followers. So you don't want to look bad on their LinkedIn profiles. So let's do one more. Let me look at my camera. Okay. Okay. Good. I think that is good. We have enough screenshots, Doc.
All right, let's have Daniel.
Hello, everyone. Yeah. So my name is Daniel Niamudulu. I'm a cloud DevOps engineer. I've been consulting for over 3 years now, and I look forward to the project phase in the coming weeks. And so what I do currently, I currently consult with a fintech in the US. It's called Marigold & Co. It's a startup company in Colorado, United States. And my focus there is maintaining the infrastructure. So infrastructure as code, operations, and security, cost, and also automation. Yeah, so this is a little bit about myself. And once again, I'm Daniel Dudu.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And just let everyone know Daniel is based in Ghana, right? So while in Ghana, Daniel is consulting for a US-based company. This is to encourage our African community that it is possible. It's all about being valuable and being part of community. And also, NS would be so happy. I know, NS, you're from Ghana, right? So NS would be so happy to find his Ghanaian brother.
Yes.
I remember the last time we were having a call with Kevin. NS was telling me about all the amazing things we should do for Ghana, we should do for Africa. And Daniel equally reached out to us to be part through Eric. Please, can we celebrate Eric? Eric's our part of on our team. He's based in Ghana. So we're discussing, and it's thanks to Eric that I got connected to Daniel. You know, so this is how the Indians are doing it. They are helping to build their community. So it's time for us as well to embrace this culture of collaboration rather than competition, right? To be able to bring these opportunities to Africa so that, you know, we can help improve our community. So thank you very much. Also down the line, besides the podcast, we're going to have Daniel too has decided to join our team to handle some technical workshops, right? So we can't wait to have you share with us. And guys, just to let you guys know, if you are interested in sharing technical sessions with us, podcast sessions with us, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, all right? That's the only way in which this vision is growing. People see what we're doing and they're willing to come and give back to the community. Thank you very much. And I want to celebrate us all for making out this time. And I would say, let's share the word. Let's share the we're going to have the other flyers available for the next sessions in 2 weeks' time, so we can have many more people benefit from this, right? So thank you all very much. And I want to celebrate my team once again. Emmanuel on the team. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you, Asaf. Those who are able to join in. And I would see you over again next
Dr.
time.
Samba,
Thank you. So you can, yes, please. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the right time to share this. I wanted to talk about the project we have coming up in January next year.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, just to let you guys know, my company and SolaviseTech, like I said, we are working that's together to come up with a training platform for the African community. Like, it's gonna be a great way of the various fields in IT that you want to train. So it's going to be like you're gonna have things like cybersecurity, cloud, DevOps, IT fundamentals, and all of that. So it's a project that we initiated. So Dr. Sama and I, we are working, and we are like, the template is already there. It's just to review with the technical team, and then we start the planification phase, and then, you know, from the various phases. But our target is to make sure that we launch it in January next year. So that way, you know, our learners or even partners could always go there, leverage all of this information in one spot. You know, it also comprised of a social media platform like Facebook, where you can always chat, share your activities with one another. So it's going to be an interesting platform for us all. Especially, you know, we are targeting, we want to make sure our African community, they get into this tech too as well.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing. We appreciate everybody. And just to let us know, besides the training we do at SolaviseTech, we also help to connect talents to amazing internships. Right now, we have some talents that are doing internship with the company in the UK. It's thanks to collaboration and partnership. And as you're wrapping up with their internships, they're going to get hired. All right. So if you are still about to embark on your tech journey, or you are maybe undergoing a self-study path, and you think that this community will be a great one for you to be a part of, right? We are very open. Our next sessions will be coming up probably by mid-August. So today we hear a lot about cloud and DevOps. In our calendar, we're also going to be having sessions related to data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, right? As well as you're going to have other sessions that will bring in recruiters and so on. So thank you guys very much for making the time. And at this point in time, we've come to the end of our trade. I don't know if Dr. Kizito is still here. If Dr. Kizito is still here, we would maybe like to have him say a word or two as we wrap up. I think Dr. Kizito is no longer on the call. All right, everyone. Thank you. And those who joined in through our YouTube channel, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for the feedback. And goodbye, everyone. Have a great night.
Sure. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you so much, everyone.
Right.
All right.
Much.
Thank you very much, sir.